But we have some kind of important stuff to talk about today. So let me quickly do my announcements, and then I'm going to turn it over to Sue, and all of you might have to turn around. Is that right?
Yeah, unless we want to put chairs up in front.
Okay. So let's just put a couple of chairs up here, and I'll quickly do the announcements. Food distribution keeps happening. Sharing Hope is doing that. We're building some bridges in the community and helping out some people. So just keep that in mind. Doing a lot of good work. Sharing Hope is. Popcorn invitations this Tuesday, 10 a.m. We're reaching out to brand new communities. There's about 5 whole housing developments that have gone up since COVID started. And we have never canvassed them. So our canvas is popcorn. And if you want to know what that is, come talk to me after the service. 10 a.m. this Tuesday. Kids, adults, everybody. We're going to flood these neighborhoods with popcorn. And then we'll buy some pizzas so that we can have some fellowship together as well. So this Tuesday at 10, if you are able. So with all of that, you can look at the schedule for the week. 16 months ago, we made a decision as a congregation that we wanted to, this was the design that was generally chosen for our church building. It is time for us to resurrect that discussion and take the next step in our future. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Sue Manier, our expert building team leader.
Sue, can you, the picture on the right, can you turn it down a little bit? Because it's, when you see down, all you see is just light.
And we've just recently had these printed and mounted, so there is some discussion about whether or not they'll maybe be hung around the room on the walls or put on easels, but they will be left here, so everyone will have a chance to kind of walk up and take a closer look at them. But I thought this might be a good time to recap a little bit of how we got to this point and what comes next. Before I do that, if you are a member of the building committee, could you just stand up real quick? We have a few people who aren't present. The Regans and my husband Mike are not here, but we have Paul and the other Paul are part on there, and Elam has been part of this, as well as the Hannels, and of course Pastor and myself.
Thank you.
So if you remember, it's hard to think that it was 2 years ago that we started our discussion process, where we had a series of meetings talking about our wish list and what we wanted in a church. And after that process, the building committee worked to hire an architect to do conceptual design so that we could get some images and some ideas in a print format that the fundraising committee could use to raise the down payment that we need in order to get our construction loan to build the church. So I want to be somewhat clear with everybody, this is not a final design. If you're looking at this and saying, oh, the kitchen is not big enough, we wanted 2 refrigerators and it's not showing that, don't panic. Concept design represents only 15% of the whole design process. And that's what we paid for, too. We did not pay for them to complete a total finished design for us. This is just the initial pass and concept. Because this is concept design, we have also not yet gotten a cost estimate. We have kind of really rough numbers that are based on square footage that we're working from, but really there aren't enough decisions that are made in this for somebody to really go out and say this is exactly what this will cost. We don't, for example, know, is the exterior of the building going to be brick? Is it going to be stone? Is it going to be metal, wood? You know, all of those have different costs associated with them, and we just aren't that far enough along in the process to have that kind of information. So just kind of recapping, we have the overall site plan for our project, which has the new church. And I'll kind of do a little bit of Vanna here going around to try to make sure everyone can see. So that we have the new church showing in the corner.
I'll hold it so you can point it.
Okay. Our church building is here on the corner between 104th and the entry road that comes into the school.
This is where we are right now.
So this is the existing parking lot out in front. We have new parking planned over here. This is the main entry into the building. So it's not coming from the street, because I have yet to ever seen a single person in this neighborhood walking on 104 to get in here. But we do have a back entrance as well, so that is not impossible to do. And this is the playground area that you would see in the renderings. Down here in the space across from the existing driveway is the pavilion, an outdoor pavilion, so that rather than holding outdoor church in the park, we have an opportunity to have our own outdoor pavilion. We'll just talk real quick about the floor plans before going in here. That'll help make sense a little bit about the renderings. We have interior renderings as well, which I think are going to be put on the revised and updated website, but we did not choose to print those out in hard copy at this point. So here is our main entry. Here is our back entry. And you are seeing basically the road would come along this side and go this way to the school. So this is 104th. Up in that, oh, I'm sorry, it's because it's twisted. So 104th is more like this, and this is the entry road coming in. So our main worship space is intended to seat 200 occupants, which was the number that we had agreed on as part of our initial planning and in keeping with basically what they're recommending for the size of the church. I think we will put up an area where people can leave comments on the boards. So this is the rendering representing the main entrance into the church building. So we have a lot of glass. The idea is that the main space as you enter in becomes our common space where we can set up tables for various functions and have our coffee bar. And there is a lounge area there that can serve a variety of different pre-function spaces. And then this view is the view from the back entrance that shows the playground area as well, which is a walled area for safety purposes, but also gives a separate entrance for our teen groups to have some of their activities that go out in a different area. So again, we'll make it possible for everyone to leave some comments that we can use when we go back and meet with the architect for the next phase. And that is actually what the building committee is going to be working on next, is to put together a request for proposal to get a fee for the architect to finish design and construction drawings. And we will ask for cost estimates to be completed as part of that process. So we will have a much better idea of what the project will cost as we go through design before we actually put it out to bid. And at that point, we'll move forward. So I know the fundraising committee will be taking on a separate effort. I'm not going to tell you exactly what the time frame is for the start of construction because that is dependent on the fundraising effort. We are intending to work with the same architect, which was Lee Architects that did our concepts. And you know, they will be able to continue with the design process that they have already started. They did kind of give us a sketched out fee initially on what it would cost to complete the drawings, and the money that we paid towards conceptual design comes out of that full total fee that they quoted for us, so we get a little bit of benefit by staying with the same architect than if we took this out to anyone else and started over. So that's not our intention, is to start over. We would like to make some continual progress. I think maybe the last thing that I want to say is that a design process on a building like this is never a straight line between point A and point B. Instead, what we try and talk to our our younger architects about is the fact that that process actually loops. And it kind of circles back because as you sometimes solve one problem, you realize you need to look at something else a little bit different. So we have plenty of opportunity to revisit things if we look at this now and say, we did really want that, but maybe we want something slightly different. We can revisit this. The building does not have to come out looking exactly like this. We might still change entry points. We might add a basement. We might change the way the kitchen is configured, and all of that is a natural part of the process, and that does not set us back in our thinking. It's expected that all of that will continue to develop. So, does anyone have any questions? Perfect. Thank you all.
So what the building team is doing is they're just making sure that everyone is still on board with this process and asking if we should still move ahead. So if there becomes a consensus that no, we need to stop in the comments that you make or the notes that you send or the emails that you send, then we'll go back and reevaluate. But if it becomes clear that we are ready as a congregation to move ahead, we're going to make the next steps. Okay, am I saying that correctly? So please let your comments be known to Sue or any other member of the building team, all right? Fundraising we have to meet and figure it out yet, but I think that will probably begin sometime in October. That's the goal, okay? Yes? The timetable is difficult. So if we raise, it depends on how quickly we raise with the down payment. It also depends on how quickly we get approval from the government, which I heard this from one architect that Commerce City is even more difficult to deal with than Boulder and Vail and Aspen. So why Commerce City would be so difficult, I don't know. It also depends on the loan company that we get the loan from, how quickly they approve that. So there's a lot of variables there. I'm guessing, what, 1.5 years, 2 years, right? Before we start to build.
I just need time because I sell in construction and I know what inflation is at right now.
We have discussed that and I'm an architect, so yes, and we are kind of factoring in that will influence exactly what we want to start with. And we've said pretty much the same thing. We are sincerely hoping that in about 2 years' time that things won't drop back down to the cost that they were before COVID, but hoping they at least stay.
Yes.
But we would not be able to build sooner than that anyway.
Okay,
There's a lot of work that has to go in before we can break ground. But we pray that the Lord blesses that, right? Good question, good comment. I think that's it. So we got one more song to sing and Bible class to follow. Those of you online, everyone here, we'll probably start Bible class at 1:45. So we're going to start 15 minutes late because I preached you all. So let's stand and join together in our last song, Lord's Blessings on Your Week.